Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and IT Wired TV interview. Today I'm joined by Robert van der Gulik. He's the General Manager at TOPdesk Australia, and Laura Domingo, TOPdesk Australian Marketer. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Alex. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. Now, Robert, let's start with you. What is TOPdesk and what are the problems that it solves?
Yeah, TOPdesk is a service management solution. So it's often helping IT teams, facilities teams, HR teams to manage their work. So if they have like a lot of repetitive tasks, they can use a tool like TOPdesk to automate bits and pieces of that. They can share a knowledge base. They can collaborate with different teams, making sure that, for instance, an onboarding of a new employee is managed through a workflow and is setting out all the different tasks to the different teams.
And TOPdesk has been around for 25 years. So was it solving the same problems back then? I mean, what's the short version of its evolution over that time?
Yeah, so in essence, it's still solving the same problem, but a lot changed, of course, in those 25 years. So it was a DOS application. We had a FoxPro database going to SQL. We had like an on-premise client you had to install on every computer to an on-premise web services. Now it's a cloud service, of course. And next to that, you see like the automation is in there, the augmented intelligence, artificial intelligence. But in essence, it's still solving the same problem.
Yeah. Now, TOPdesk Australia opened in 2019, and Robert, you're also new to TOPdesk Australia. So, can you please tell us what drew you to TOPdesk when you started, and what else drew you into making the big trip down under?
Yeah, that's a really lovely question. And I think it's a little bit of a weird story as well, because I have a master in human movement science. And I know back then I was looking for a consultancy role because I thought, it's really nice to help others, giving them advice how they can improve on certain things. And I struggled in finding something in my work field. And then I saw a big ad, and I still have it like vividly in front of me, where it said like, we're looking for IT consultants, no specific IT degree required along those lines. And I thought, well, it won't hurt me to apply. So I applied, and obviously also got the role. But it was really interesting to talk to an organization that is focusing on finding, great people, great personalities, because you can teach them the IT skills and share that type of knowledge with them. So that's how my career started. And then from there, it's also a company that's really focusing on growing people in their careers. So I've got several opportunities. At one point, had the opportunity to move abroad to Canada, worked there for 4 years, and now recently joined the team here in Australia to see if we can also help the Australian team grow.
Sure, wonderful. And so, Laura, can you tell us about your role at TOPdesk Australia?
Yes, so as the marketing team lead for TOPdesk Australia, I'm responsible for growing the awareness of TOPdesk in the ANZ market.
And so you had a big idea last year that's transformed into a journey on a plane to Spain, from where you've just spent a few months before heading back to Australia. So tell us about this big idea.
Yes, so this idea came from a conversation with my former manager, Marianne, during a mid-year performance review. She asked me, is there anything that we can do at TOPdesk to make you happy? And this was in January 2022. So I had spent over 2 years without seeing my family and my friends, which was extremely hard. So with that in mind, I asked her, would it be okay if I worked remotely from Spain for a few weeks a year? And she said, let me check if that's possible. Let me do some research and I'll get back to you. And the next day, she gave me the okay, which made me so happy. It made my parents very happy as well. Here I am this year. I think it's wonderful to work for an employer who cares and listens and takes action when you need something. So that's fantastic.
And so how long were you in Spain, and what was it like dealing with the time zone differences?
So the pilot, you would say, so the first time I worked remotely was back in April for a couple of weeks. And with the time difference, it worked pretty well because at the time, the time difference was 8 hours. So I would just wake up between 6, 7 a.m. and it would still be working hours in Australia. And then the second time was just now in September. And the trip had a very exciting start because that's when we had TOPdesk International Week, the first week of September. And then after that, I traveled to Barcelona and worked 3 weeks remotely from my parents' home.
And clearly, you know, there's good bandwidth now around the world. There was no issues with connecting and doing video calls and all that sort of stuff that we're used to nowadays.
Exactly, not at all, because I still managed to meet with my team in Australia, and it was even a great opportunity to meet with my other colleagues in Europe and in America, who usually it's more difficult to meet with them. But since I was in Spain, it was just perfect and more convenient.
Sure. And obviously the COVID restrictions having eased, it just made traveling much easier, right?
So much easier, yes. So I'm very glad that I got this opportunity this year where everything was a bit more calm with everything related to COVID.
Sure. Now, Robert, it sounds like you weren't the manager of Laura at the time, but clearly Laura's idea bore fruit. She was in Spain. So what was your reaction to hearing about this idea? And do you want to go back to the Netherlands, for example, and spend a few weeks there and do the same thing?
Yeah, I would definitely not mind. But I think you can see it from the face of Laura as well, right? These are the things that make people happy and go to work with a smile on their face. And I think from instantly, I thought like, this is something we need to look into. How can we make this a benefit for everybody instead of just a benefit for Laura? Also in mind, indeed, like how could I benefit from it myself? And I think I already had a little bit of experience with that with the pandemic, having people in Canada working from different provinces. And I think back then already planted a seed in my head, like, yeah, how are we going to do it when everything is open up again? Like we showed during the pandemic that working remote is perfectly possible. There's of course benefits from also having the team coming together, but there is also room for people to do these type of things and yeah, really enjoy a life with family and friends that they've missed out on for a long time.
Well, it's also October as we're recording. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month and Mental Health Awareness Month. So clearly this is great for the mental wellness of TOPdesk staff.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Now, is Laura the only one who's gone from the Australian office back home, or are people sort of lining up to do the same?
Yeah, we already had some other people like making use of the policy or the guidelines there, and I think that's also really helpful of having it in a guideline, because then people know what they can do and cannot do, and if you don't tell them, they might never ask, never know.
Yeah.
But we had another colleague going to Fiji, also meeting up with family and working from there, and I think the advantage of the different time zones is also like sometimes it works in the advantage of having people there. I think especially in the example of Laura in Spain, having our headquarters in the Netherlands, it makes it so much easier to just collaborate with the people there.
Yeah, and given that it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month as well, I mean, Laura, did you have to do anything special, log into VPNs, or how was the security situation for you connecting back to work resources?
It was actually not very different, because at the end of the day, I was working remotely from home pretty much as my day-to-day looks like in Australia.
I think the great thing is also that the pandemic taught us how to make working remote more safe. And I think replacing a lot of businesses also like making use of a VPN, of making it really difficult and tough to log in a secure way. So the strong authentications, of course, are still there in place, but it's so much easier just to go somewhere else, make use of the network there, log in a safe way and continue work.
And have you heard of other TOPdesk offices around the world implementing the same program?
Not exactly the same program. So when I put everything on paper, had it checked by some people to make sure that it's also like within like what is allowed here in Australia. I shared it with some other managing directors in other branches just to inspire them. And I got a lot of positive reactions. But the nice way of how TOPdesk is organized is that we have the freedom locally to make sure that we differentiate ourselves in a work-life balance and in giving people the opportunity to grow. And it works differently in every country. And in Europe, you might know as well, there are less restrictions in working abroad and traveling to another country anyways. So maybe they don't need to introduce a guideline like this in the same fashion.
Sure.
And if I may add to that, I think this policy is just perfect for our situation in the Australian team, because our team in the Australian branch is very diverse. We have colleagues with families from Europe, from Asia, and across Oceania. So this initiative just seems like the perfect fit for us in the Australian team.
Now, I want to get back to TOPdesk itself and just ask if you could please share some of the customers you have in Australia who are using TOPdesk services.
Yeah, of course. So I know it's safe to share names like Wodonga TAFE or Picture Partners, Nando's Australia. And I think what you will see is that the customer portfolio is actually quite diverse. But there is a couple of things that they have in common. They often really struggle in getting out of firefighting mode, having an overview of all the different the work that is going on in the different teams. And that's where we come in and where we can help those organizations to get on top of that and be a little bit more proactive and really deliver the service that we are all expecting in our day-to-day life, also in businesses.
Even our international customers are very diverse as well when you look at industry. So we have like universities such as the University of Memphis or University of Edinburgh, to manufacturing companies such as Cram Group, and even airlines such as KLM. So it's very interesting to see how we have like many different organizations that provide very different products and services, but they have so many things in common when it comes to IT challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is a typical customer onboarding process? I mean, I know it's different for every customer. They all have different needs and requirements and IT setups, but how quickly are businesses and people seeing positive results?
Yeah, and it varies indeed a little bit of like what are they coming from? And we still see some organizations moving away from, you could say, the Excel sheets and Outlook. And then it's maybe a matter of a week before our tool can be implemented and help them out. You also see organizations moving away from legacy tools, and then it might take a little bit more time to do that in an agile way where you introduce different phase and replace the older software. But typically not longer than 2 or 3 months before customers would benefit from introducing a tool like TOPdesk.
Sure. Any comments from you, Laura?
Yeah, actually, earlier this year, I had the opportunity to go to Wodonga and meet with the IT team from Wodonga TAFE because we did a video together. And they shared amazing figures with us. Like in over 1 year of implementing TOPdesk, they reached a 95% customer and end user satisfaction rate and a 50% reduction in ticket resolution time. So it's really wonderful to receive feedback like that from our customers and hear from them how much potential the software has. It's really terrific.
And so, before we get on to some questions about the future, what else about TOPdesk Australia, or just about TOPdesk, should we know that you can both share?
I think next to the great software, it's really the people that make the difference. And I think that's with all the technology, right? You can give a person a tool, but that doesn't solve all the problems. In the end, it's also the people that really need to make it work.
I think that what you should know about TOPdesk is that we think of our customers as our partners. As an example, when our customers have a question or need help with the tool, they don't call the support line to end up talking to some stranger from an external company. They call our office and ask to speak with Deo or Ed, who are employees at TOPdesk, know the customer very well and know the person behind the phone very well as well. During this year's TOPdesk International Week, just a month ago, our CEO, Walter, explained that a customer sent him an email about 2 months ago saying thank you for a 20-year partnership. And Walter read us the email, and I remember the words, TOPdesk is an organization we love to work with because of the people and the values they stand for. This right here is customer happiness. This demonstrates TOPdesk genuine care for our customers. And at the end of the day, it's all it matters. It's all about caring about the people you work with. And that applies to your customers, but to your employees as well. And the work from anywhere policy at TOPdesk Australia, it's a great example of that.
Absolutely. Now, my next question is sort of 2 questions in one. The first part is to ask how you both think TOPdesk will evolve over the next couple of years. And then the second question is to sort of, look into the crystal ball, and how do you think TOPdesk might evolve in the 2030s when the metaverse should be commonplace and everyone should have the augmented reality glasses to peer into the magical worlds that are coming?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to like a future like that. And and I think if you look at what we do, it's the same story again. In essence, it will probably be the same thing. We just want to make the lives easier of the people that use the solution. And as a company, we'll make sure that we adapt all those new technologies and make sure that we bring that into the solution to make it easier.
Yeah. Laura?
I completely agree with Robert. I think technology may change, and as a company, we will adapt to the new needs that will come. But I think that our essence and our care for people won't change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you'll be in the metaverse going through bits of the code or bits of customer scenarios as though it was as though you were there. I mean, we haven't thought all the use cases yet, but yeah, I'm excited to see it all too. Now, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask, can you both please share a memory of your first computer?
You want to go first, Laura?
Sure. Well, I grew up in the 90s, and I remember my parents' computer had, the tower and the big chunky monitor that it took forever to turn on as well. And I also remember using the floppy disk at school as well.
Yeah. Sure. And for you, Robert?
Yeah, I'm a little bit older, so for me it was like I was born in the 80s, and I always felt like it was a luxury to have a computer. My dad was a head teacher, so we had an MSX computer, red screen, black letters. There were a couple of games on it, not too many, and I was always a little bit jealous of my neighbor. They had an Atari, Prince of Persia, so that's where I'd rather go. And I was really happy. I think it was early 90s when I got my own Game Boy and could play on that one.
Yeah. And it's so different today. I mean, the Game Boy is black and white, and the Nintendo Switch today, big screen. It's like I remember those little Nintendo Game & Watches, Donkey Kong. The little small devices.
Yeah.
And how it has changed. It's so incredible. I don't think kids appreciate the quite how amazing it is for them today.
No, indeed. Yeah. It's funny. I have like 3 kids at home, and it's funny to see how they grow up with technology and how intuitive it actually is, right? How quickly they are adapting to those new technologies. And I think for us, sometimes it's a little bit strange and we need to take our time. And for them, it's just like it's part of their nature.
Yeah.
I'm here in Hong Kong, and I've got my relatives here, and my cousin's daughter. I mean, he's my third cousin. It's like my niece, effectively. But she's got a smartwatch, and she's flicking and moving and doing all these things so fluidly. And I mean, I'm sure we would have all been the same had we had that technology at the time, but we didn't. We had what we had. And when the kids of tomorrow grow up in a world where the metaverse is commonplace, just normal. I mean, we used to freak out when I was a kid when the water would stop or the electricity would stop. But in these days, if the internet stops. The kids, the adults, we're all freaking out.
I often say that for newer generations, the Wi-Fi is as equally important as oxygen in the air. It's funny how they changed.
Yeah.
So my second last question is to ask if you could both please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Yeah, for me, it is something like, if you think about where you want to be in the future, don't try to get there overnight. So break it up. Just try to be a slightly better version of yourself each and every day with that goal in mind, and then you'll end up there.
Laura?
I would say my best advice, and especially to other women in the tech industry, is do not self-reject. Apply for that job, even if you don't match 100% of the criteria. Ask for that promotion if you think you deserve it, and ask for that flexible policy if that's going to make you happier at work.
Excellent.
Yeah, maybe to build on top of that, I think it's really important for anyone that is applying for a role, if you present yourself, your true self, and it's more about personality and for instance, an eagerness to learn and to understand IT and tech, because those things can be taught to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Laura and Robert, what is your final message to IT Wire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
technology is like ever changing, and often I think we know that working in IT, the only thing in life that is constant is change. So it's really nice to look at all those technologies coming at us. But in the end, it's about us, it's about people, and we're going to make the difference. So look at that technology and how it can make your life more easier, more enjoyable. Don't see it as a threat.
All right.
The work from anywhere policy at TOPdesk is a genuine initiative that shows how much the company cares for the well-being of its employees. And I think it's a great reflection of how we approach our relationships with our customers. So whenever you're looking for a business partner or a vendor of whatever kind, IT, non-IT related, just look at how this company treats their employees, because that will tell you a lot about how they're going to treat you as a customer.
Well, Robert van der Gulik, General Manager of TOPdesk Australia, and Laura Domingo, TOPdesk Australian Marketer. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for sharing all those insights and implementing this Work From Anywhere program. I wish you the best of success for the future, and I do hope we can talk again.
Thanks, Alex. Really nice for having us.
Thank you so much, Alex. It was great meeting you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.